Oi, mister! You me dad?
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Hey, there's the Mia. I saw Mia on the monitor.
Yeah. Let's all get infinite and shit. Stay. All right.
So,
I'm here. Oh, hi, I'm Dave Nesbitt, and I'm currently drinking lemonade because, yeah.
Oh, I'm Dan Carlson, 1/4 of the Lost Blokes.
Oh, hi. I am I'm at about 80% capacity today. Yesterday I was in the bathroom a lot, and I might as well have been a 3D printer.
So
the film brings it out in all of us, because this is both wonderfully dark, and I mean, like, it's not quite to the levels of Irish comedy, but it is definitely dark, twisted humor.
I pick the best.
Well, let's ask Alexa to give us a timer to see if we can.
Well, first of all, we have to say this is Shudder Club.
Like, share, and subscribe, or else we're going to invite you to a very special meeting.
Yes. Vicious Fun is the story of Joel. Nobody cares about Joel. Poor Joel. He lives with a very pretty roommate who he's in love with. So much so that he trails the new boyfriend across town to a bar and gets horribly drunk when he finds out from the guy that he is spying on that she is she considers him to be kind of a
or
yeah. And so he gets horribly rip-roaring drunk, wanders into the closet, and passes out. Wakes up a few hours later, wanders back out, wanders into the main bar area where there is a round table of chairs set up, and he hears them talking about weird shit. So he starts his recorder and goes in, and they tell him to sit down. They think his name's Phil, and they start talking to him about all of their serial killing habits. And he just plays along. As he says, he's a taxi cab driver, and craziness ensues. There's this really kind of hot girl that he ends up giving his drink to earlier on, and she realizes something weird is going on. And when the guy that I am sitting in as right now comes back in, realizes this isn't Phil, he starts questioning him, revealing that he is not a serial killer. Therefore, they're about to kill him, and the girl saves him. They get locked in an ice room, and all craziness ensues. Each one of the serial killers uses his own specific talents to try to kill them both. They go,
So they bring the cops in, and then it turns into the Terminator, where we have serial killers trying to track two people inside of a cop station and killing off all the cops in the process.
Yeah,
there's a strangulation with intestines involved here.
Yeah, and then they end up at the hospital. I mean, how can you not like a movie where somebody gets strangled and their neck broken with intestines?
I mean, intestines.
But anyway,
this movie is absolutely every possible 80s serial killer slasher film trope that you can possibly imagine. You've got Mike, who obviously is the Michael Myers or Jason of the group, who,
I'd say he was probably the Jason.
What?
He's more of a Jason. He says he goes to like slumber parties and campgrounds.
And he massacres co-eds.
In mid-coitus.
Yeah, mid-coitus.
In mid-coitus.
Yeah, mid-coitus.
You have what's his name? The guy that I'm sitting in on.
I don't know, but he had a Matthew McConaughey / Jeffrey Combs energy.
Kind of Bob.
Yeah, Bob. That's right, Bob. And he basically is a cross between Natural Born Killers and American Psycho. And American Psycho.
Yes, and Jeffrey Combs in The Frighteners.
Yeah, he's this suave kind of character who loves to court his marks and go after them and kill them somewhere between the first and third date. And but I think they modeled him quite a bit after the serial killer from American Psycho.
Yeah.
He wears the raincoat, and he's just this suave dude who obviously takes care of himself. Then you have Carrie, who is actually the first murder that we witness.
Yes, because she kills Phil.
She kills Phil. Yeah, who was supposed to be at the meeting.
So Phil is the serial killer. She takes him out. She's not actually a serial killer. Although,
right. Well,
for the amount of killing she's done, she probably qualified. But her thing is, she's a killer of serial killers. She's part of a group that kills serial killers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she's a serial killer, which I fell in love with her right away. So then we have
it's a little dysfunctional, but she is likable. So I'll let you have that.
and then we have Hideo, who is a cannibal, and but he only eats his flesh fresh.
He did lick those intestines that were inside.
That's how he knew that that Joel wasn't dead. Because he licked the intestines and he was like, "Ugh, these aren't fresh." So he knew he wasn't dead, and he was going to go stick him. And then there's Zachary. Zachary is the trained government assassin who took out an entire Cambodian village with ricin in the well.
Someone's poisoned the water hole.
Yeah, but when he admitted to that, he then said he went home and watched Three's Company in his underwear, and then he said, "Which part of that that confession do you think embarrasses me more?"
Yeah, and the thing about it, I loved that joke, but I thought it would have been even funnier if he would have said, "Yeah," and then I was sitting in my living room in my underwear watching The Office, because he was in The Office, the actor. That would have been spectacular. And then we have the doctor, and the doctor is an amalgam of crazy serial killers that like the dude from Saw meets.
They call him I think the one lady said he's like a lizard in a human skin.
Yeah, but he captures people and kills them multiple times, and revives them until he's finally ready to reward himself with the final death, which is usually drawn out, he says.
He tries to learn about human behavior so he could become more human, but they said it never happens. It never works.
He never does.
He never really seems to have a line on how actual people act, but
yeah.
It's understandable because he's a fucking psychopath. I'm just loving the fact, it has that same level of self-awareness that we get from the Scream films and the same sense of humor that goes with it. But there are moments in here that are genuinely scary.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it when a horror, I was just listening to a podcast where they were interviewing Edgar Wright, and they were talking about Shaun of the Dead, and which is a film that is also really funny, but also entirely scary at points.
Right. Yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't reviewed it yet.
We should at some point, yeah. But to me, I think that's a really hard trick to pull off, because sometimes the comedy takes over or the horror takes over. But this maintains the perfect level of like dark fucking humor.
Well, not only is Shaun of the Dead scary and funny, but it's also touching in some scenes where you wouldn't expect it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but we'll
got a
cover
legit
that
heart.
another time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just talking about how sincerity comes across, and in this movie too.
Joel?
Yes, Joel. Joel is trying to survive this entire thing, and he's making stuff up. And also, a very key part of his character is that he's a person who reviews horror films and works for a magazine that does horror films. Like the opening scene is of him interviewing a director, and the director is just getting real tired of hearing all this guy's criticisms.
This is This is
But
probably anybody who liked Halloween Kills when I started piling on it. I was thinking that when I watched it. And like, this is everybody who likes Halloween Kills just going, leave me alone.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's a fucking horror film. Yeah, but there's a difference between, a standard direct to DVD horror film and a direct to DVD horror film where somebody put the time and thought and energy. And this film has it. I like the plot. I like the structure. Also, I like the sequence where he's sitting around talking to his roommate's boyfriend, who turns out to be such a complete jerk.
Yeah.
Because he's a real estate salesman, and then as he's walking out, sticks Joel with the bar tab. I just like, if you.
This is what Dave considers the worst aspect of that character.
There's plenty.
Serial killing. It's the fact that he stuck everybody with the bar tab.
But it tells you an awful lot about this guy. He's like, yeah, I'm a real estate guy and all this, and he's ripping people off. Like on every level, this guy, he's the sort of person that Hannibal Lecter would sit there and go, we're going to take a little time with you because clearly you are making the rest of us look even worse.
Hannibal Lecter wouldn't tolerate any of these guys.
No.
Oh God, no.
No.
They're all very rude.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie is awesome because Carrie's playing the game.
Yeah.
And also Carrie gets some really fucking spectacular kills, some of the best in the whole goddamn film.
Yep.
The opening sequence where she stabs him through the bottom of the jaw, the intestine thing. I mean, she's just, I want her on my team.
And then she stabs Bob like 50 times in the stomach in the hospital, and then in the eye, and we get to see him rip out his own eye.
So to me, it was really fun when it could have just turned into how will they get out of the bar kind of situation, but instead they pull down the fire alarm, and now the cops are brought into it. And the cops, I usually can't stand the cops in these movies, but these cops are great.
The cops is fucking hysterical, man. I mean, okay, let's be honest. If you came walking into a place and people were like, but there's a support group for serial killers going on in here, and then there's this, and the cops would be sitting there like, of course, yeah, we understand.
Well,
Let's go to the hospital.
No, he was typing up the report as he was saying that, and he goes, bullshit is one word, right? Stuff like that. And then every time that they face any kind of action, even if it's almost action, it doesn't actually end up a fight. They got to high five each other.
Oh yeah,
a job well done. Justice served.
These are kind of like the evil twins of the two cops in
it's not super bad, is it?
Yes, super bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
The two cops who are dragging McLovin around and are just having a great time kind of messing with him.
Yeah.
But they're just having a great time with him. This time they're having a great time at these people's expense, which is something kind of
Yeah.
It's like these are the dads of the two cops who would eventually go on to carry McLovin around town.
Yeah.
But
oh my God.
But the thing is, like, then it kind of, I kind of compared it to the Terminator because they all end up at the police station,
Yeah.
all converging on each other. But then Joel gets stabbed in the arm and gets taken to the hospital, and the doctor's about to pull the knife out. He goes, "Wait, is this going to hurt as much as it went in?" He goes, "Oh yeah."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love it when they come running out of the police station, and his roommate goes, "Is that real?"
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, what a movie! I mean, what was your guys' favorite kill in the movie?
Uh, just the strangling with the intestines.
I kind of got to go with that, although I also have to admit the repeated stabbing and then pulling out the eye, and then I mean,
That was
there
good
comes a
too.
there comes a point, especially when you're doing a film like this, that going for the kill for pure comedic effect. Another film that we have to review sometime, because Roger Ebert had a quote about it. Excuse me, that I feel is somewhat appropriate. He was talking about the film Shoot 'Em Up, which is one of the great crosses the line twice films, sort of films. And in this case, he made a comment about, okay, there are films that understand what they are and just kind of run with it, but a film that understands what it is and then crosses the line and then crosses the line again and then one more time just for fun, that's a film I truly appreciate. And that's what I love about this film.
There's a scene in
It's going all in.
I agree.
There's a scene in Machete where Machete rips a guy's guts out, runs down runs down the hall with them, jumps out the window, and uses the intestines as a rope to swing into a window on the floor down.
And the best part is that 3 minutes prior, there was some foreshadowing that this was going to happen.
Yes.
Because the doctor said, yeah, your small intestines use somewhere around 33 to 40 feet.
Right.
And sure enough, he drops down about 3 floors.
Have you ever seen a movie called Running Scared with Paul Walker?
No, I've not seen that one.
It. I just can't remember it.
It's the quote on the box says it all. It says makes Kill Bill look like Sesame Street.
Okay.
Yeah, and it totally goes over the line, and then over the line again, and then like it crosses. It forgets where the line even was. What's a line?
It sits there, he looks at the line and goes, "You're adorable," and then kicks it around a little bit, and then says a few words about its mom, and then kicks it around a little more.
Yeah.
And then talks about, your mom still owes me 20 cents from that quarter I gave you. That whole level.
I love it. They just never stop. I mean, it goes from the bar to the police station to the hospital and then to a drive-in. It just doesn't. Yeah, it goes to the. I love that it goes to the drive-in. Joel notices that his movie idea ended up getting used.
Of course.
And
because that director ripped him off.
Yeah.
Although to be honest, it wasn't a brilliant idea. I thought the first thing when he started describing the taxi serial killer, I thought, well, that's just a step past Taxi Driver. Because he's not a serial killer, but he is an avenging angel or whatever, and he's using his taxi to
isn't the movie called Taxi Driver Driller?
Is it?
Yeah, Taxi Driver Driller or something like that.
I saw the setup and this is the classic example of, well, this one's going to be bipolar. It's either going to totally work or it's going to fall flat on its face. And in this case, it totally worked front to back, because this is a premise that you can do an awful lot with, but I think one of the problems with it is, with a premise like that, is that it's way too easy to turn it into something like a later Mel Brooks film where it turns into a set of skits rather than a movie.
Oh, well, I wouldn't mind that.
Oh yeah, that has its uses, but I think in this case they really, I'll just keep saying it, they hit all the high spots in this, where they got the scary parts right, they got the humor right, the balance was absolutely perfect.
And they kept ramping it up because it felt like it was going to be a much cheaper movie earlier on, and then like, nope, we're going to take it into the cops. Nope, we're going to take it to the hospital. Nope, we're going to
every chance they had, they just upped the ante one more time just to say they could do it.
Yeah.
And then I love how Joel becomes her apprentice
Yep.
And they end up going and killing that movie projector guy who had the girl hostage. And it's just like, oh yeah, get some snacks and then we'll get her out of here. And then she goes and waits in the car, and he comes out with the snacks, but he forgot the hatchet out of the killer's head, because of course, you don't leave the evidence.
Right.
Mhm.
You got to be professional about these sorts of things.
Yep.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one is definitely a press play and then press play again, because you can watch it for yourself and then you can sit there and go, party movie.
Yeah. I've
'Cause
watched it like 5 times since I first saw it.
I can get that, because I'm going to go back and watch it again just
I'm-
because I enjoyed it that much.
I might watch it again this weekend. It's that good. I just it's fun. It's
Yeah.
it's totally a Fangoria movie. They didn't go to the trouble of getting licensing agreements from Fangoria. Probably
Right.
because Fangoria was going through legal trouble a year or two ago. But they definitely were giving a nod to Fangoria with that magazine, because it had the same layout. It had the film
Oh,
strip
yeah.
on the side.
Oh yeah.
And the little like images. And
Yep.
and then I love the scene where the cop is describing to the other cops what a horror movie is, because it's like it's there's that scene in The Devil's Rejects where the cop brings in the movie critic, and he just goes on this 5-minute speech about Elvis.
Yeah.
And I thought they're making fun of, they saw Devil's Rejects and thought that was the dumbest thing ever, so they made their own version of that scene.
Like, comment, and subscribe.